Alright, welcome back. A couple days later than probably the last video. I don't know if this will be its own video or part of the other series, but we're going to look into what the truck is doing on the old 88 Ranger. See what the computer tells us is wrong, see if we can figure out why that check engine light's on and what that nasty hesitation is when you hit the throttle. It just hiccups, dies, tries to go again. But there's already a bunch of videos on how to get the codes out of these older Fords. I've got my jumper wire hooked up there. If you want to look into the other long-winded guys doing it, that's fine. But we're just going to see what the truck is doing. So we're going to go here and we're going to turn the ignition on as we do before. I'm going to start counting some engine flashes. And I will be perfectly honest, I did this before, so I'm kind of expecting some things. And I know for a fact, because the engine is not warmed up, we're going to get some sensor errors for being out of range. So we're going to turn this on and we're going to see if the codes are still in there. My jumper wire did come out when I was doing it before, so it may have cleared the codes. But anyway, we'll see what we get. I did 3 flashes, 3 quick, that's a 6-cylinder. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But anyway, it'll go through and give you the codes, what I've already got here. The first time I did it, I forgot to warm the engine up. So I got a 51, which was the ECT, indicated negative 40 degrees circuit open, which is not good. Circuit opens are never good. Did a 23 throttle position out of self-test range. That's not good. But that could also lead to a hesitation because, you know, throttle changes, things get weird. You know, those two are kind of related. 24 IAT out of self-test range. That is because the truck is not warmed up. And then 67, which this one's could be interesting. Park neutral position switch out of range or AC was on. Well, the truck doesn't have an AC pump hooked up to it, so the button is off. There's a throttle position sensor, because I've already got you set up and I got something to show you after I get you mobile again. There's a bunch of videos on how to do these on the internet too. Basically what you do is you got a 3-wire system, you've got your ground, you've got your voltage, and then you got your reference basically, which is what the computer's reading as your reference wire. So you want to make sure that you've got 5 volts running to it. You want to make sure you've got a good path to ground, and then you basically want to run your throttle position sensor, your throttle all the way through its motion and check the resistance on it. I've already done it on this one. I am not 100% confident that this is actually bad. I'm wondering if I don't have a problem in the connector here. They looked kind of corroded. I was able to back probe it, and you know, I could see voltage, I could see ground, and I could actually see the reference. But I'm wondering if the computer's is not seeing it. I was having a hard time just getting anything out of the pins here, but for the heck of it, we're going to show you what we got going on. She wants to go. She's like, I'm fuel injected and stuff. Let's go. It's cold. I don't care. Just be happy you're sitting in here. So we're going to back probe this. First thing we're going to check is ground. Yes, I know, that's the red on the ground side. Ooh, scary, but we're just checking continuity here. So our top wires are ground. We do have a ground path. I'm not real thrilled with it. Unfortunately, I cannot take this connector apart. I was hoping I'd be able to, but you can buy these. These are also little spade terminals. So because you can buy it, I'm not opposed to putting some connectors on this and just bloop, bloop, bloop. You know what I'm saying? This is not a show truck. Let's check some voltage here. Let's actually get our ground on ground so it's not showing us negative voltage. So if I go through and back probe, there's a light somewhere. Oh, there it is. Hopefully that's helpful. So we're going to go through, and I already know that the bottom should be our voltage on this one. If I back probe it, I get nothing because I'm not even in the right spot. Get that in there. I got 4.97 volts. So that's correct. We're supposed to have 0.9 volts. And this is why I ended up buying the sensor. 0.9 at idle, and I've got 1.52. So to me that seems pretty high, but it might be in spec. And I'm going to go run through it here. It seems not real great. Lo and behold, look what we got here. Oh, parts! Everybody likes parts. So, got a filter because I was ordering stuff and getting it shipped here was free and it was cheaper. I got a receipt because that's not a receipt. This here, what do we got here? This is the... I don't know. Let's see what sensor this is. Ah, this is the ECT sensor, which means this is our new neutral safety switch. I felt pretty confident in just ordering this one. And this is the new throttle position sensor. I don't really know anything about BWD parts. It was cheap. The goal is to get this truck running cheap. So, against my better judgment, I just went ahead and bought it. We're going to throw it on, and we'll see if the code comes back. Yeah, these weren't tight at all. I don't have a good feeling about the sensor, just fixing it. It's not a good idea to just throw parts at it, but we'll see. Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is new. Oh well. It's probably even by the same assholes. Yeah, they're probably made 10 units apart. So, we're probably going to be looking at some wiring issues here. We'll put the new one on. We'll check it. But this is a good example of why you do diagnostic work and not just throw parts at it. Boom! It's fixed, right? Yeah, I don't think so. Alright, well, let's do some back probing. There's a good path to ground. I don't know what the sensor would have changed on that, so there's no reason to do that. Alright, back to voltage. Let's see if we got 1.5 at idle again. Or idle position. No, I'm not getting nothing. It helps if you turn the ignition back on. Ooh, 1.55. So yeah. Let's run that up. It actually does seem a little smoother, but I'm thinking our problem is still here in this wiring harness. So to clear the codes on one of these old guys here, you hook that up, turn your ignition on. This is one of the ways to do it. Wait for it to do its little test thing. It starts flashing codes. Let's go ahead and pull that out. Alright, well, let's get my crap out of the way and we'll do a quick startup here. Like I said, I'm not real thrilled with my results. Old Lifty McDickie. Yeah, I would say that didn't fix it. And the check engine light did immediately come back on. I'm going to go ahead and run the codes again. You guys don't need to see that, because it looks like there is a bit of corrosion on these terminals. I probably should have started with this. Actually, no, they don't look bad. I'm going to take some time. I'm going to go through and look at this wiring harness on here real close. See if I see any breaks. Like, there's a spot here. What I may do is I may find some little pins and stick in these here and see if I can get a reading off of that. But, you know, if I was getting the reference voltage out of it, back probing it, one would think that that's all good, but, you know, maybe that's the maybe that's where our problem is maybe it's not even seeing that. Yeah, somebody's been in here looking at this before. So we'll get some wiring harness or some wiring diagrams, and I'm going to see if I can't find, maybe this goes directly back to the ECU and I can find where that pin is, and test the continuity directly there. So we'll look into that too. It could be, you know, a dirty connector over here. I don't even know where the ECU is on this thing. I have read some stuff. I was reading some things online about having to replace some capacitors in the ECU. I do have a parts truck that I just acquired. I'll have to. It's an automatic though, so I'll have to see if they can swap that. If that can be swapped, that would be an easy thing to check. Right. Let me show you why I bought the ECT, and I felt really confident about that. So these Rangers on the 2.9s have two temperature sensors. One of them, this one here, that guy, this one's for your gauge, which my gauge doesn't work. Lo and behold. So I was like, alright, well, they took it out. Gauge doesn't work. And I was like, that's cool. That's because I've got the manual, or the, you know, analog, whatever you want to call it, analog gauge there, you know, with the other probes. I'm like, oh, they took it out. Was what I thought at first, and I started looking, I'm like, no, that one's for the gauge. So one of the things we're going to do is we're going to ground that out and see if the temperature gauge moves. Because if it moves, that sensor is bad. If it doesn't move, then either grounding it out is not the way to do it, which typically it is, and the gauge in the dash is bad. But let me get you the right angle here. See that plug? See this line here? That is the analog temperature gauge going right into where the ECT goes. So that code we can easily fix. We just have to drain the coolant, which I need to do anyway because it's not strong enough for my liking. It's like -10 or something like that. And which is normal for Ohio, would be typically fine. But we do get the random days where it's, you know, it's -10, and I don't want it to be right at that. Let's see if I can find any of my alligator clips, and we'll ground it out and see if the gauge moves. And if not, we'll have to move on to something else. Like that. Those are in this box of treasures up here. That sounds like I'm destroying everything. No? Yeah, well, that sucks. I'm looking in the wrong one. Ooh, my test light. No, I have 2 test lights. Apparently I need to fix my alligator clips. It is lay broken. Just do this here somehow. This is so janky. This is what happens when you can't find your test tools. Well, that was enough to get it grounded out as good for a second again. Got that on there, and I'm just holding the jumper wire into a probe. And if we go in here and look, yeah, there. Connection came loose, so it's falling back down. But the instrument cluster works. So that sensor is bad. So yeah, I guess that'll probably wrap this up for tonight. My videography is getting really crappy. So we'll do some research. We'll come back to the TPS sensor. A night where I have a little bit more time. We'll go ahead and drain, maybe tomorrow night. We'll go ahead and drain the radiator coolant. We'll change that ECT out. I don't know. I'll figure it out. That's enough. I'm tired, I'm hungry. Time to eat. Well, that's nice and loose. There's much noise, probably.